Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So this is going to be the second installment of my home decor series, with my how to home decor series. And basically I'm just taking you guys on my own journey, like the journey that I've gone through, and sharing my experiences with you, so you make better choices when it comes to your home and decorating and turning your house into your home. So this is the third installment of that. I did my first one, which was, wait, are you ready to move out? And then my second one, we talked about priorities, and then this is the third one. I said in my second video that my third one would be knowing your house, its shape and its size. But when I was looking through my notes and planning for what to like for planning on what to tell you guys, and like brainstorming and trying to remember all the things that I have to write to remember, because I usually write them down. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at a book, I'm looking at my notes, so I don't forget any point. Maybe I might even put it up here so it's just easier. Yeah, so as I was looking at that, I forgot that I remembered that I have forgotten to touch on a very, very important topic. I feel like I should have done this as a second part, because after you've moved out, I wanted to really like put this across. And so I will do it in this video. And as you guys can probably tell, it's about pets from the title. Now, with this YouTube generation, where everybody is going on YouTube and everybody is looking at how YouTubers live their lives, and kind of like just basically like seeing how everybody lives their life, and not really considering that a lot of times what you guys see here on YouTube is actually not exactly the truth that it is. Like, this is not the true situation, the true circumstances, or this isn't the true events. You guys get to see 15 minutes of my life. You don't actually get to see what goes on behind this camera. So my aim on my channel is to bring as much light to the things that you guys might not have thought about, or might not have known about. And that's why I started this channel. The one thing that I wanted to talk about, well, I was a victim. Like, I was stupid enough to put myself in that situation. So when I moved into this house, the first thing obviously that I wanted was to decorate the house. But not just that, I can't speak anymore. Not just that, I also decided that I wanted a pet. I've never owned a pet before. I'd never had a pet, like, at any point in my life, but I really, really always wanted one. And so I decided that I would get a pet. A friend of mine had a cat. She lives like a few blocks away from me. She had a cat, and the cat had gone out and got pregnant and got kittens. So she had all these kittens. I think she had like 7 kittens. She didn't know what to do with them, and she was going to like call cat protection and basically bring them to cat protection. But when I saw when I went over to her house and I saw the kittens, I was like, that's it. This is the pet that I want. So I picked out one of the kittens, and when it was ready to leave its mom, I brought it over, and I had Nala, my cat. If you guys are following me on Instagram, you'll see pictures of Nala. So what had happened was one day she brought Nala home, and that was it. Like, I was just thrown into it, and I had no clue. I had not one clue about anything. All I knew is that I saw when YouTubers had cats behind them, or dogs, and had included them in the videos. It was cute, and I really, really like animals, and I loved Nala to death. So I was that's it. I need to get a pet. So after I got Nala came home. I was thrown into it. I had to go out that day. I had to buy running ahead of me. So what I wanted to say is that when you guys watch something on YouTube, if it's a haul, you guys need to consider that, like, you don't know the circumstance behind that haul. Like, you would be wondering, like, why does this person do hauls? You don't know. Try not to always copy. You can take inspiration from people, but don't, like, think about the decisions that you make when it comes to a lot of things. And pets are one of those things. Like, a pet is not a teddy bear. You can't get bored of a teddy bear look the way it looks and sits in your bedroom and then put it up in the attic until the next time you want it. A cat is an animal, and like, they are beings. No, they are like a live thing. Like, they live and they like feel and they like, you know, they walk about basically. It is life. It is a life. So even when you guys get a dog, especially when you guys get a dog, I have a really close friend of mine. She's like literally pet owner goals, like Marissa from work, and she is like like, she has a dog called Eli, and every time that Marissa talks about Eli, I'm always like, oh my god, like, this is the type of pet owner I want to be. Like, I want to be responsible. I want to love my pet, which I did love my pet. But anyway, I'll tell you guys. So the first thing you guys have to not do is to run to the pet store and get a pet. You guys want to sit down and really, really consider and really think long and hard. Beside that, your favorite YouTuber has a cat called Socks and it's cute, and you want to call your cat Socks as well, you have to really sit down and consider, or your favorite celebrity or whatever show it is that you're watching, you have to really, really sit down and consider what you are doing. So I wanted to bring a few things to light when it comes to pet. The first thing is that when I got a cat, I had done a tiny bit of research on pets because I always wanted one. And I always wanted one because I think it was just media. Like, I'd seen them a lot in I heard about how pets become like friends, and I was living alone and I wanted company. So, and I heard about how pets can be like filling that time for you when you're at home, and they make you feel like there's somebody else in the house. And that was so true. I found that to be so true with Nala. Like, I always had company in the house. But what I got told about cats were that, oh yeah, if you want to get a cat, definitely go ahead and do it. So cats are considered to be one of the easiest pets to keep. And I can tell you that it is not what you guys think it is. Like, a lot of people, when they're telling you about cats, tell you cats love to play alone, and cats are like, sort of like, don't mind being alone. Matter of fact, most of the time they'll lay there and sleep and then like go and sit on their own. And I had that picture in my mind where I will pick it up and cuddle it whenever I want to pick it up and cuddle it, and then I will put it down and let it sleep. Whenever it's ready, I will give it a bed and I will feed it whenever, which I hadn't really considered those points in any detail, and thinking back now, I should have. So if cats are the easiest animal to keep, pet-wise, well then I can't imagine what it's like to have a dog. But I'm gonna bring to you guys, like, I'm gonna make you think, like, I'm gonna bring up a few points that you might not have considered about a pet. First of all, pets are really expensive. You have to buy a cat bed, food, you need the vet. There will be illnesses, like your pet could get ill. You have to pay fees, vet fees. You have to buy accessories and toys. These things all cost money. Unless you have like unlimited funds or more than enough funds, which wasn't the case with me, and which isn't the case with most people when they move out. Usually money is tight. The worst thing you want to do is, like, I spent about £50 every week on my cat, and that was in food and cat litter, and I had to change litter trays as it got bigger, because when Nala was a kitten she wouldn't get into a big litter tray, so I had to buy a tiny litter tray, and then as Nala got bigger, I had to change the litter trays and get bigger and more convenient for Nala. Those were the costs. I had food costs. I had to buy Nala, and you don't really see it every single day because you're happy with the pet. But once I didn't have Nala anymore, I realized that I was spending a whole lot of money that I'd have spent on something else at that point on pets. So there's a pet bed. You have to consider pet beds. You have to consider pet toys. You have to consider the vet. You have to consider accessories and toys. Another thing when it comes to costs and animals is that usually animals claw everything. If it's dogs, they eat up everything. So you will have to replace furniture in your house. Like you were gonna have to replace a seat. I had to replace my seat. I used to have this Italian leather cream seat before I got my IKEA seat, and Nala absolutely wrecked the hell out of that thing. It wasn't even looking normal anymore. So, and I had to paint my walls almost like every few months because Nala would get on my table, which, if you guys know, I have a white house. Everything in my house is white. Nala would get on my table and then jump from the table to the windowsill. It's actually funny thinking about it. You actually jump from the table to the windowsill, and then she would jump outside and go for a walk, and then she would come back. Like if it was raining, she would come back, do the same processing, because I tried to avoid her going outside because I didn't want any dogs. We have a lot of dogs to like get her or her be frightened. I also didn't want her to go and get dirty because she was like, literally, she loved the filth. Seriously, I was like, are you a pig or a cat? It's not even funny. Nala was the like funniest cat ever. So she'd go out and she would get like all muddy and messy, and she'd jump through the window back onto my wall and through onto my my dining table, and basically just walk the house, just walk all over the house when I had Nala. And she went out, she ran out one of those days, and I think I also lacked a bit of responsibility because I didn't get Nala neutered. So on one of her escape moments, Nala went out and got pregnant, and so I had the pleasure of having 2 kittens first. And before those 2 just after those 2 kittens, I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait. The vet told me when I went to get her neutered after the kittens that I had to wait a few weeks. In those few weeks, Nala went out again and got pregnant again. So I had another 3 kittens to deal with. Basically, if you don't have this happen to you, where I'm hoping you're gonna be responsible, and as soon as you get your kitten, you're gonna take the necessary measures, which is not a joke. Like in my case, Nala was like, keeping Nala in the house was like, it was a hard lot of job. Like I didn't need to be employed because Nala was keeping me busy. Okay, so yeah, those are some of the things that I wanted you to consider. So when I had Nala, I painted about every couple of months. I painted the house. I got the house painted about every couple of months. Thank God I have a best friend of mine, and he's such a great painter, so he'd do it for no charge. But if you were doing it and having to pay, think about those costs. And then there was my seats, my dresses, my shoes, my handbags, everything Nala clawed. Like I didn't want to get her declawed. A friend of mine told me that I could get them declawed, and I just didn't think that I wanted to go down that. It just didn't seem normal to me to like do that to an animal. So I didn't want to do that, but I was like, and at this point, I was like really, really emotionally, like, no matter what Nala did, I loved Nala, like, there was no, like, oh wow, somebody's just wheeling their pin right outside. Great. Yeah, there was no conditions. Like, I loved Nala unconditionally, and I wasn't like, it didn't matter. But I realized, looking back now, Nala held me back from decorating, because before that, if you guys go on my Instagram, you will notice that the house before and after Nala, is different. Like when I started really investing in like things in the house was after Nala was gone. So anyway, I'll tell you what happened with Nala. Nala, I then realized, I really had come to a realization after 2 years in this house that, okay, Nala, I couldn't look after Nala. I couldn't keep Nala happy. My house wasn't big enough for Nala to run around. It seemed like everywhere she wants to go, I'm like, no, no, no. So she felt trapped. And I have carpet in my house. Nala, I just got a pet without really finding out about the pet. So she wasn't really properly like litter trained, so she would sometimes go like pee on the floor or like poo on the floor. And that my house upstairs is carpeted, like the 2 bedrooms and the corridor is carpeted, and that always like stunk. It had to be changed after Nala left. So you guys need to think, and health reasons, like Nala would get up on my countertop and like in the kitchen, and when I wash dishes, I needed to wash all countertops first in the morning. That was my first task. And then if I was eating and I had dinner or whatever, I had to wash every dish, dry it, and put it back in the cupboard so that Nala doesn't get all up on them and mess with them and stuff. I love white. I wasn't able to have as much white in my house that I do now, because my bed was basically like not gonna be white. Nala was on my bed like whenever she felt like it. The other room as well, I couldn't decorate the other room or put any white beddings or white anything in my biggest room, the master bedroom, because Nala was not having it. So you guys need to think about that. Cats will wreck a lot of things, and if you have to be replacing this is another extra cost you have to think about. What am I saying? Cats are a lot of money, and pets, dogs need dog walking, the dead bag, the bags you used to pick poo and like throw it, because you gotta be a responsible dog owner, and dogs need so much more attention. Nala was like a dog. I used to always call her a dog, because Nala, even though Nala was a cat, Nala would whine and whine and whine if you left her alone. Like there was no leaving Nala alone at all. There was no locking Nala in the kitchen while I did stuff. Like if I wanted to clean the sitting room, Nala had to be with me cleaning as well, and not cleaning, dirtying as I cleaned, because she didn't want to be alone. Basically, it was just a hassle. Like Nala, even though I loved Nala to death, I can't put it under a rag and say she wasn't hard work. Nala was hard work, like really hard work. And then and Nala loved company. Nala always wanted company. Nala always sat on my knee. Nala always, like, she hated being petted, but she always loved being on my knee. Like she would sit there, and if you were a steady person and don't move around a lot when you sit, Nala, that would be the perfect. So Nala would sit on your knee or whatever. But that was it. And then when she was in heat, it would make me feel really bad, because she would like moan and crow the floor. I couldn't help her. Like I just didn't know what to do. So I couldn't go on holidays. I couldn't go anywhere, because my parents, they don't like cats. So there was no asking them to pet sit my cats. And my friend has like dogs and the stuff of his own. It wouldn't, like, the dogs and the cat wouldn't live together. His mom, it was just, I didn't have anybody to like pet sit for a few days while I go away, and I love to travel. I had to stop that for Nala. And that's something you gotta think about. Like, I didn't want to leave Nala with people I didn't know. This was like, it was always a constant stress. So one thing is that cats are really, really costly. The second thing is that cats cost your time. Like, cats and pets need time, especially, like, I needed to clean up Nala's mess. I needed to like fix what Nala had broken. I also needed to spend time with my pet and like chill with Nala. But at the same time, dogs are so much more. So if you're thinking of a dog, that is so much more work. Like Nala needed Nala needed like all me to be there to clean up the house when she messes things up. So it's, you know, you gotta think. And when you have kids, another thing you have to think about is hygiene with pets. It's really, really hard. Like literally talking from a person that has had a pet before, and then didn't have a pet before, and then got another home for that pet. I will tell you, like, my cleaning routine now compared to then is so much more different. Like, it's so much easier for me to clean the house and keep my house clean. So you guys need to think about it. There's a lot of sacrifice that you have to, like I sacrifice traveling to have a pet. There's a lot of things that you have to think. Pets give you company, they give you love, they give you affection. You have to have time to give this back. So definitely going to work was a trouble. Like every time I came home from work, Nala would moan and cry and be like really upset that I left her. So you have to think about that. After I'd thought, because I'd made such a stupid move in getting a pet without understanding the responsibility and the cost that that pet would need, I then moved, I realized I needed to give Nala a better home. I needed to find Nala a home that she'd be happy in, big enough to accommodate her and her needs, and she wasn't properly toilet trained, so Nala had needs that maybe Simba, which was a kitten, her kitten, and they were all adopted by other some of my friends as well. They were all taken out away, but Nala had needs that no other cat that I've known had needs. So luckily I did get a family that I wanted Nala, and have been great and amazing with keeping Nala. And one of my kittens, Midnight, is adopted by like my best friend's family. So I was lucky in that way. But you guys, you need to think about it. You need to think about a pet. You need to ask and do research. I always say this on my channel. Do not just copy another person's life. You have no idea what it takes for that person to be that. So you have to find out. And pets are definitely not as glamorous as a lot of people try to pass them on YouTube. They are work. They are responsibility. They cost time and money. And they're a huge responsibility. So you guys, before you get into, and not, this doesn't apply for pet. If you want to successfully live alone and make that work and have a beautiful home and have a beautiful place to call home and have a beautiful life, you are grown up now. You're living alone. You need to think about what the decisions that you're doing, every tiny thing that you're doing. You need to put in enough research before you jump ahead and do it. If you have to pet sit for somebody, try that out. Pet sit. And if you are somebody who is like super OCD about being clean and your food being clean and everything, like I have white in all my furniture and everything in my house because I love to know all my beddings and everything are white, because in my guest room, like everything is white, because I love to know that things are clean. Like white shows you when things aren't clean, so everything has to be like clean with me. If you're that type of person, really, I'm begging you guys to sit down and really think about it. Give the pet you own a great life and also have a great life yourself. If you travel a lot, make sure your family can like look after your pet and be there for your pet. If you are like work a lot, same thing. And by that, if you work and travel a lot, your pet will really be your pet in just name. It will be attached to other people. And the last and final thing that I wanted to say about pets, getting rid of Nala, giving Nala over to another family to look after Nala, was the hardest thing for me. I was so attached to Nala, and I was so attached to Simba, which was one of the kittens that I kept, the male one. I was so attached to Nala and Simba, and it was so hard for me to like get rid of them and find them homes. Right now, I still can't go to my friend's house and see Midna, which was the other one that looks so much like Nala. But you guys, you need to think, and it took me so long to actually get over it. I still miss Nala so much. I still miss pets, but I know now that I need to be in a responsible place to have an owner pet. So that was the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me comments down below, and if you've already made this mistake with pets and you have a pet, try the best to your best of ability to give that pet the best that it deserves, because it did not choose you, you chose it. And also, if you can, give it a better home and give somebody else cat protection, rehome cats. If you want to check that, and any other organization that can rehome cats, and you can ask to see who's taking them or whatever, you guys definitely do that. But don't make silly decisions quickly just because your favorite YouTuber is doing it, and then have to deal with the consequences without your favorite YouTuber helping you. You're the one who's living your life. You're the one who's gonna have to deal with everything. So guys, take your time and think about it. Research, research, research. If you're living alone, you want to find out things and not be thrown into things and then discover you made a mistake. See you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more videos. If you like this video and you want me to do more videos in this, do not forget to like, so that I know that you guys like it. See you in my next video. Have a blessed day or night, whatever.